All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Versatility Podcast. I'm your host, JUUUEEELLZZZ. I always do that when I do my intro and everything. You already know what it is. But we're back for pod 28 of the Versatility Podcast. I'm going to get into quite a bit of things. Definitely going to get into some serious conversations and all that type of stuff. But before we do that and everything, how's everybody doing? Let's just check in, try to, it's a big week for us Morganites. This homecoming week, the start, today is Sunday. I know, I post this on Mondays and things of that nature, but today's Sunday, and it's going to be a crazy week. I don't know if I'm going to drop an episode technically this week after this episode because of everything that's going on. But again, I just want to say, how are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing the best you can. If you're doing bad, then, take your time. Dwell in that for a moment. Take the time to get yourself right so we can make, get better. You know what I mean? And things of that nature. But anyway, I know I've just been talking for, a minute now, and I haven't even introduced my guests and everything. So, hey, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Elijah Pittman. I'm a writer for the MSU Spokesman. I'm a photographer, just in the DMV area. I'm from D.C., so, or from PG County, but I say DC, from DC. It's what's up. I do photography. I started photography down there, started kind of creative directing, things like that. Kind of established a political foundation, political knowledge, things of that nature, raising my own class consciousness and just things regarding consciousness and politics and social phenomena now. And yeah, that's pretty much about me.
And you're a freshman.
Yep.
Multimedia
journalism major, freshman, class of 2026. Yeah, we're the new people on campus.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of your freshman class is wild, but we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that.
I'm not one of them.
I would hope so. I would hope so. But we're gonna get right into everything. For those of you who don't know. I feel like I say that phrase a lot for those of you who don't know. But on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Sure, Tuesday. Oh,
Tuesday was the gubernatorial forum, to the governor forum.
Yeah. So on Tuesday of last week, so that was, let me check my calendar. I think it was September 27th.
Yeah.
Yes. On right. September 27th, 2022. Dan Cox, who is the Republican candidate for governor in Maryland, came to Morgan. And he came to do a debate with Westmore, but Westmore declined to show up. It was run through the paper at Morgan State University, which was the MSU Spokesman, and he declined to show up to that, but he accepted to do other things. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But either way, it already starts off weird because I just told you the Republican candidate came. And even though we grilled him,
yeah, exactly,
and things like that happened, the Democratic candidate who's supposed to be for us and things of that nature, and I actually looked, he's supposed to be on an HBCU tour right now and things of that nature as well. He didn't show up to a debate where we could ask both of them questions. So, there's that, but we're not gonna, but I'm gonna say just some more different things that happened throughout the forum, because even though Dan Cox is borderline racist, I would say, he defended himself and he stood his ground, and we as black people, we at least can respect that. Even if you're racist, your bigotry or anything of that nature, if you can stand on your ground and really say that, and say the things that you're saying in front of people, we can respect that to an extent, because I still am not exactly for him. I'm not voting for Maryland people, but just in general, okay. But basically, here's some things that happened at the forum. So Cox showed up and he denied January 6th participation. For those of you who don't know, again, I say that a lot. For those of you who don't know, basically, he apparently rented out buses for people to go to the January 6th rallies and things of that nature. And he denied the fact that he did that. But then again, after after he denied it, the reporters who were like the people who was leading the forum and stuff, they was like, "Are you sure?" Because you did da 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 da. They said that you bought tickets for blah blah blah. He said, "Oh well, it was just for blah blah blah." He's like, yeah, "All right, bro, whatever you say." But just it's clearly he had some sort of involvement because he even had a tweet that said that like mentioned about firing Pence for being like a coward and things of that nature, and you're like, okay, yeah, you're lying to an extent, but whatever, right? Whatever. He claims that, but here's what kind of caught me off guard and kind of what led me to talk about this in the first place. He claimed that he voted for HBCU funding in Maryland. Those of you who don't know, again, I'm saying the phrase again. Basically, Maryland had a big dispute, a lawsuit. If I'm not, it was a lawsuit where basically they were not getting the same amount of funding as other universities in Maryland. So because they were not getting the same amount of funding, they ended up filing a lawsuit to the state of Maryland as a whole.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting millions and millions of dollars. Morgan State University, Bowie State University, and Coppin State University.
And University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
Yes, and University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I forget about them sometimes.
They're way out there, but yeah.
Yeah. So they ended up getting the money because they're getting the money that they were owed because they were not given the same amount of money as University of State of Maryland or just University of Maryland?
University of Maryland, Towson University, like just the various PWIs in Maryland.
Yes. Basically, they weren't getting the same amount of funding. So then, just looking deeper into that, I met one of the dudes who was with Dan Cox's little entourage and everything. He's a black guy. And he was talking about how Trump pushed for HBCU funding during presidency. But then he also said Biden didn't. And in my head, I'm like, okay, we'll fact check that. And to an extent, he was right. Trump definitely had what's the word? Trump definitely pushed for HBCU funding, but he also made the claim that he quote unquote saved HBCUs, which is incorrect. But he did help fund them because there are some HBCUs that are a little on the wayward side when it comes to money, but he didn't save any of them. He just helped produce the funding and things of that nature. People think that he wouldn't, but if you really look at the Trump's track record when it comes to institutional things, 9 times out of 10 he's gonna give money for it, or he's gonna have some type of program. He's just a very outwardly, the support isn't there. Inwardly, sometimes though, he'll put down the policies and everything and things of that nature. So then, which then led me to the Biden part, and Biden administration actually made historic investments in HBCUs. Billions of dollars, actually. And so just kind of circling back before we move on to the next part is, hey, Elijah, what did you think about the forum? And what do you think about the fact that some Democrats are a little more outward with their support, whereas Republicans are more inward with support, which actually stems back to things back in the past. But we'll get into that in a
support for HBCUs, that is?
HBCUs and black people in general, because as you know, there's not a lot of policies that have been passed, even though Democrats continually want the black vote and things of that nature, and then just Dan Cox in general and stuff.
I definitely think it's important to understand that, like, black people have always been a reason or have always been like a weapon. We've always been weaponized for political policy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And no matter who's ever been in office, from dating all the way back to slavery, mind you, even the Civil War wasn't for us. It was for economic and state rights. So even the Civil War wasn't for us. Nothing has ever been for us. And Malcolm X always says this, that, there's a wolf and a fox. And the wolf will bite you straight out, and the fox will wait and plan and map out your movements and things of that nature to figure out how he's going to attack. But mind you, they're both facets of the same institution or the same system that is built to disadvantage us. HBCU funding specifically has been something that's that has been consistently used as a weapon of political policy. So no matter, people have always funded it and defunded it and funded it and defunded it, and it's never been something that's been consistent across all platforms of the political parties. Republicans have just launched onto it as Democrats took a back seat, but regardless, Republicans aren't in the camp of progressing black people as a people. And I think HBCUs we definitely do need more funding and things of that nature, so that way we don't have to look outside of our own people for funding. But relying on political parties in and of itself, like that reliance forces us to be reliant, like to rely on these political parties who don't have us at their best interests in the first place. So securing jobs for HBCU graduates would be the logical next step. That's not happening. To like having us get connections to the same people that PWIs have connections to, that would be like real funding. That would be real things that would progress HBCUs. It's starting to happen a little bit.
Inclusivity thing. And like I know some places literally are like, hey, we're only hiring
HBCUs.
Black people or people from HBCU. Like they have specific programs just for HBCU. Hey, you go to HBCU. Hey, you should apply for this program that does blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I see what y'all trying to do.
Yeah,
like
what y'all trying to do. Where you're going with it, but is it or is it as mass? Like, can as many people get into a like high company as PWI students can? And that becomes the question. So I mean, with Dan Cox specifically, I find Republicans kind of laughable because all throughout his forum, he was just making a logical fallacy, a logical consistency after another. And it was laughable. Like people genuinely laughed in the audience because of how laughable it was when he said that. For example, he quoted Frederick Douglass when talking about critical race theory, and then the moderator caught that and was like, Frederick Douglass also had scathing critiques about American society, and then he was like, or she said, do you think those should also be taught? The scathing critiques, that is, should those be taught as well? He was like, yes, they should be taught. And then she was like, well, it seems like you don't want that to be taught. And he was like, and then she was like, what do you not like about critical race theory? And he was like, critical race theory is Marxism. And it just shows this continuous
pause real quick
misunderstanding
because
of
Marxism, for those of you who do not know, again, I'm saying that phrase again. Marxism is basically a very far left ideology. If you don't know what far left is, you would think that far left would be like super progressive, but that's not exactly what far left is. Far left is a little bit of, it's basically libertarianism, right? It's to an extent
necessarily,
if I'm not mistaken.
So libertarianism does kind of have a mix of like left and right. Like libertarianism is like an illogical fallacy in itself. It doesn't even make sense. But far left does look at more of how to completely deconstruct full systems and reinstitute those systems with like another system. So things such as communism, socialism, etc. Marxism. This is the key disconnect of Marxism. This is why I was so excited to write this article, because I define Marxism and critical race theory in that article to make sure that a lot of people don't know what Marxism is. It seems to be like typically a buzzword in politics to just launch that out at Democrats and things like that, saying you're a Marxist, saying you're a socialist, but very few people know what that is. So I'm gonna pull up the definition that I put in the article just so that way I don't butcher it again.
Because even I struggle sometimes like making sure I'm getting the right thing. But Marxism, it just said a far left ideology.
Right. It says far left ideology typically, but it seems it is actually deeper than just a far left ideology, because a lot of people say it's like a basis of communism, but that's not necessarily
not exactly.
It either,
They defined it. They ended up substituting it and calling it communism, but communism, bro, they at that time they was just throwing that around at anything that was against the U.S.
Let me see. So Marxism here, as I defined it in the article, Marxism is a socioeconomic analysis method that uses materialist interpretation of history and explores the relationship between laborers and those in higher classes. And what that means, to like break it down into even a smaller context, is that it looks at the framework that we have today of capitalism and points out the flaws in that system and how that disadvantages people at the bottom, and how that disadvantages people at the bottom in terms of their material needs. So there's this there's a philosopher who established like the specific needs of a people or of a functioning society. Is it Karl Marx? No, there's another philosopher.
Are you talking about another one?
Yeah, there's a philosopher who had like a pyramid. There's so many philosophers, but there's this one philosopher who had this pyramid of needs that a functioning society like needs to have.
I know what I'm talking about, right? You've
seen the pyramid.
I know what you're talking about.
So Marxism hyper focuses on those materialist needs and the materialist disadvantages of these people, right? So you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
But like, it should just be moving and
so much stuff could like just flow out of the mind, but that's exactly what it is. So Marxism directly looks at the material disadvantages of a people and how those like happen from history. So how history affected and disadvantaged these people's material conditions. The material conditions refer to people not having food, not having shelter, things of that nature. And that's essentially what Marxism is. And it's just class consciousness, which forces you to look at and ask questions about why things are the way they are in a class context.
Which, to an extent, Dan Cox has a point, because critical race theory does do that, but
does it with a racial context as opposed to a class conscious context.
It's because critical race theory, I've read multiple different things kind of dealing with critical race theory, and I appeal to it because it just points out the certain different things as to why things the way that they are.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense when you actually read it.
Exactly.
Now, granted, if you're on the other side and you are racist, or if you are white, or if you've think that, you know, racism isn't as big as a problem, or, you know, something of that nature, and you read it with a one-track mind, I can see how you can say, oh, this is Marxism. They want to tear down society. No, we want to pick apart these different things and have a conversation.
And the overlap between the two, the critical race theory and Marxism, is that they both seek to destroy the status quo. And the status quo in America is the, like, maintaining of white supremacy and racism and capitalism. Racism and capitalism. So the difference between critical race theory and Marxism, and he directly related to, he said critical race theory is Marxism. The difference between the two is that Marxism looks at capitalism and asks questions as to how to deconstruct, or just how how capitalism hurts people. Critical race theory looks at racism and how racism affects people, specifically black people, because black Americans, not even just black people, black Americans within a American context, that is. Outside of America, it's definitely more black people. But within it looks at black Americans specifically, and how the systems that have been, like how the historical systems have currently disadvantaged black people. And that's what critical race theory is, right? Now, this is the important part, and this is the part a lot of people forget. Critical race theory is not being taught in any public school at all. Period. There's
unless you're reading like me, I read a book, like a literal like it was a book that, like, we had a choice to like choose a book for English class, and I read a book called Between the World and Me, which covered critical race theory to an extent. Yeah. And like there are other things, but in general, like an actual literal lesson
curriculum.
On this.
There is no curriculum about critical race theory.
Because critical race theory could literally be a 4 years worth of curriculum. Right. That's how expansive it is.
You can major in critical race theory at certain institutions.
I didn't know
Morgan doesn't even have a critical race theory program. So it's very important to understand that this critical race theory thing it's a buzzword. It's stupid. You can throw it up in the air because it's so stupid and such a stupid thing to hyper focus on. And Republicans, and this is where we talk, I think you brought this up, Republicans are legit, they're political geniuses. Like they know how to warp the political spectrum, and they know how to warp people's minds to make sure that that their agenda is exacted.
You gotta catch
properly.
them.
You gotta catch
them.
So they've trapped people in thinking that critical race theory is this is this indoctrination of black supremacy or whatever the case may be, but that's not at all what it is, right?
I've never even heard that
and,
word.
And that's what it is. Like they think critical race theory is and they've related it to the replacement theory. Have you heard of this, the Great Replacement Theory?
No.
So it's this thing that Tucker Carlson and all these white supremacists,
that we're gonna take everything from them. And
that we're gonna take everything from them. We're gonna replace white people and stuff.
But we don't want to fucking do that.
Like if I'm being honest, right? Like
if we wanted to take over the U.S., if we really wanted to do that, we would have done that by now.
Right.
We have the resources to an extent, but honestly, we're fucking outnumbered. If I'm being completely honest, we're outnumbered crazy. Like, even though we have all these rights and stuff, if we're comparing ourselves to places like Brazil or Cuba or something of that nature, they have way more black people than us, and they have way less rights than us. Mm-hmm. So if anything, we could have been really shook things up, but we have decided to be cordial and things of that nature with our approach. To an extent, we did it, and that's why there was a divide. I'm not gonna lie. If Martin Luther King was still alive, and he really was switching over to the violent aspect of things, because allegedly, he was about to switch over to violent
there are speeches
tactics,
at the end, right before
he died, and that's why they killed him, because they realized if he starts stirring people up, then we could really have a revolution. Right. So in human history, if we want to go back as well, whenever you want to make change, 10 times out of 10, there is a revolution.
You gotta fuck some shit up for sure.
You have to literally kill people and have a revolution. The French literally cut off their king's head and was in a little anarchy for years.
Haitians murdered the French to get them out of their country.
Literally.
Like, you cannot have a revolution without violence. You can't. You just can't. It's physically impossible, because you can't, and this is the other thing. This is the problem. This is one of my biggest problems with Martin Luther King's effect. Not Martin Luther King, but his effect and what he did. it made it so that black people didn't want to have it created it so that black people wanted to be equal to their oppressor as opposed to like not having an oppressor. You see what I'm saying? So that effect of wanting to be equal to the oppressor created this much long lasting effect where we're okay with being at the bottom because we have this dream of being rich, and being rich in American society is being equivalent to your oppressor, and being equivalent to your oppressor is not the same as liberation. Like liberation is the eradication of that table that disadvantages people in the first place. That's the biggest disconnect.
Hope.
That's the biggest issue, right?
It's literally based off of like they're doing everything based off of hope.
Exactly.
They want to hope that you will get to that point. Granted,
Right.
to an extent, we love Martin Luther King for what he did. I love Martin Luther King as a whole, but in general, it's not his fault why the white people use him the way that they do, or really just racist people, or even like black people who are just a little bit off track. But they use him as like Martin Luther King was so peaceful, yada yada yada. But it's a little bit more than that. But he fought for rights in a way where he still was assertive. There's a difference between being aggressive, like Malcolm X before he converted,
Right,
and being assertive with what you want, and being like, I go to therapy and things of that nature. One thing that I deal with is conflict, and we're gonna have a whole nother conversation about cognitive distortions and things of that nature. We're definitely gonna talk about that one day. But when it comes to being assertive, that deals with conflict. And so we have to realize as people that conflict is not a bad thing. Conflict means that you have two opposing sides. And with those two opposing sides, whether you're friends or enemies, you're having a conflict because somebody's not happy about something.
right.
And so you can have a conversation like that in a positive way, or not even a positive way, but just in a productive way. And so the problem is we're not having that assertive conversation enough. And maybe we have the conversation, but then this leads us back to the conversation as a whole. They give us the hope, and we put in our assertion.
Yep.
They give us the hope that we will have more than what we have now. And then it's gradual progression.
Right.
It's super slow. Super slow. You just have to wait. Whereas that's not what we want. So then moving on to the next thing that I was talking about as a whole, because we're still on the topic, it's about the Democrats versus Republicans for HBCUs and black people as a whole. There was a USA Today article or fact-checking article, right? And so what I got out of it, and beforehand I'd spoken it a little bit earlier, is the fact that Democrats are more vocal with their support for black people in HBCUs and things of that nature. And whether they give the policies or not, that's depends. Whereas Republicans, they kind of just be like, oh, we've done this before, and try to like kind of like with Dan Cox saying, oh no, with the one dude that I was talking to about, they support HBCUs and things of that nature, but Dems didn't, or like, just a back and forth with that. So to an extent, and they put up the fallacy that they're doing more than what they're actually doing. And then they put in the support in the background for things, but then the vocal support isn't there. You see, there's a juxtaposition between the two. So basically, going back into history, for those of you who don't know, again, I said that a lot. I might turn that into a shirt, like a slogan or something. For those of you who don't know, the first black congressman members were Republicans. Didn't know that, did you? Because I didn't know until about a few years ago, I think.
Now, this is an important history fact.
Yes.
Dan Cox also cited this, that Republicans were the people who freed slaves.
Exactly.
This is the issue. So back then, we have to look at the Lyndon B. Johnson election, because Lyndon B. Johnson and Goldman something, they both ran for, like, this is the most recent example of this. But basically, there's this idea called political realignment, and political realignment is the ultimate switch between the parties. There have been 4 periods of political realignment throughout like American history. The most recent one being Lyndon B. Johnson. I believe it was Lyndon B. Johnson, and it was 50, 60, somewhere around there, where there was a massive switch between the two. And this is where Republicans became before, mind you, Republicans were the party of working class people. This is a point where Republicans, because the Republican candidate was what was he? He was like a capitalist. He was a major capitalist, major venture capitalist, and he lost the election ultimately. However, he played an instrumental part in switching that and making sure that he played an instrumental role in switching the size of the political parties. Let me look it up so I give everybody the right names and things like that. But it was a political realignment, and a lot of people forget this because it's not something that's taught in the schools often. Let me see, political realignment. It was in 1964. That's what it was. Okay. Mm-hmm. So after the 1964 Civil Rights Act, many white conservative Southern Democrats became Republicans. The South had mostly been Democratic before 1964. It was mostly Republican after, because of those value voters, and Republicans ended up adopting all of the values that Democrats had because of the Civil Rights Act. And this was the most. Like, it's the most major long-term realignment in American politics. Goldwater, that was his name, not Goldman. Goldwater.
I was like, Goldman Sachs is like,
right.
I don't even remember.
Not Goldman Sachs, Goldwater. Goldwater's unsuccessful bid significantly influenced the modern conservative movement, and the movement of conservatives to the Republican Party continued, culminating the 1980 presidential victory of Ronald Reagan.
You see, that actually goes back, though, because that party realignment, just to go back into the history a little more, which I didn't know that, so that's really good.
So this is the most important thing. A lot of people forget this or don't know it at all, and Dan Cox is one of those people who doesn't know it. And it's not like slapping the label on it is the important piece of it, because that's what people don't know. But a lot of people remember this election because it is the most influential election of all time, like of American history, that dates to today, because that was the modern switch of like people who freed the slaves and people who kept slaves in. It's a huge switch. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're totally right about that. And because again, Republicans, they used to be the quote unquote Democrats, or not conservatives,
social progressives.
What's the word? It's not conservatives versus progressives. No, it's not progressive. What the fuck is the word? I don't remember the word. I
know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now.
I'm trying to think too.
But either way, they used to be the quote unquote pro black party, but it was always like a push and pull.
Yeah.
So basically, like, they used the black vote, but they were, again, it's the hope that you can potentially get out of it. Right. And so they was like they supported them the most. I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the first black people in Congress. He was like, the boat, they said the Republicans are the boat and the political stuff is like the sea. I'm terribly misquoting it, but that's basically the gist of the quote. And basically, they wasn't always totally for desegregation and no slavery, but they were the closest you were going to get, because the Democrats were the conservative people and the Republicans, they were just the closest to those things. I mean, those progressive values. So Republicans took the black vote for granted, and then the Democrats slowly realized the importance of it. So then again, like Elijah said, the Republicans started going towards the money-grabbing Southerners, while the Dems started pushing for pro-black rights and more. They basically switched based on what suited them more, and they both just do that the same way now. And so that's really what it is, and that's the problem. The problem is nobody is truly for anybody. Exactly. Everybody is just using everyone. Now, I know it's kind of dark, but at the same time, if we look back at the U.S. as a whole, since when have they ever done anything for the people in an honest way? Like, even the way we elect our president.
The closest thing was Reconstruction. That was the closest. That was the closest we got to doing something for the people, and that failed miserably because of the president at that time.
Wait, which Reconstruction?
Right after slavery.
Okay.
Yeah. So Reconstruction was the time where they tried to atone for their sins against Black Americans. I think it lasted all of like 2 or 3 years, right? But what they did was they had a whole plan to give Black Americans back their what is it called? Their land and things like that.
Yeah, the
like 40 acres and a mule.
The 40 acres and a mule,
like,
all that.
All of that
shit was garbage.
The closest thing we got to, and it was gonna be like it was gonna be phenomenal. My dad, like I wish my dad was here because he has like all this crazy. He did a whole thing like during 2020 where he was just like doing research after research and so much research on the political
research in 2020.
Right, that was the best time to do it. But he did so much research on Reconstruction, and I consumed like a lot of the like just side effects of that. But that was the closest thing we got to doing that. But are you familiar with the term Afro-pessimism?
So say that again?
Are you familiar with the concept of Afro-pessimism?
Afro-pessimism?
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of get a gist of what do you mean by pessimism by it. But yeah, explain.
So Afro-pessimism is this concept made by this guy named Frank Wilcox, I want to say. Let me make sure I don't.
I think it's just the last name that
Frank B. Wilderson III. That's what it is, not Wilcox. I was right with Frank though. See, I'm bad with names, but I do know my terminology. So Afro-pessimism is this. It's a book, but it's more or less this concept or this political ideology by this writer named Frank B. Wilderson, and it essentially looks at the world, and it is American, but it looks at the world. It can be applied to the world as well. It looks at the world as needing Black Americans or Black people specifically to be at the bottom of every societal, economic, and political class in order for the rest of the world to progress.
Bullshit.
What part's bullshit?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
like the way it works.
I'm like, that's bullshit, bro.
So that's what it looks at it like.
Look
right?
at Wakanda, man.
Right, but
Africa before it even got conquered.
Once you have the institution of this white supremacy, of this racism, of this capitalism society, that's where you have to look at the world as though nothing is safe for us, nothing is good for us, because the entire world benefits off of the fact that the entire world benefits off of Black Americans being or Black people as being at the bottom of everything.
We're called Black people, bro. I think that's the fucking problem in and of itself.
That's the problem in and of itself.
Like, because everybody used to be our skin color in the first place anyway. So it's like the fact that we're called Black people and we call them white people. Like, we've literally, like, especially in the U.S. is where it's really the worst. Black and white means totally different in Brazil and Cuba is what I'm learning right now, because they have different shades of it. And if you're like a lighter skinned, you're basically like,
it's super nuanced in Brazil.
You're closer to white.
It's super nuanced in Brazil.
So it's way different. We're gonna talk about that. I have a friend who's in Brazil right now, and when she comes back, I'm bringing her on to talk about it and some other things. But that's like the fact that we call each other Black and white is literally like, that's fucking insane. Like that is we have dimmed each other down to colors. I am not even Black. I'm brown, bro. Right. like I'm brown. Like my hair, it looks black, but it's not even black. My hair is like a dark light brown or whatever it is. Like I looked at it in the light. If you literally look at it, majority of people's hair, if you're Black, it's actually like brown, but it just looks black because it's one of those darker browns. Yada yada. But look at your hair. Trust me. Now some people still, it might be black, but a lot of people's hair, like your hair is probably brown. Actually, I can see it. It's brown. It's like I can see it in the light right now. That stuff is brown, but it's just hard to tell. But we've dimmed each other down literally to a color, bro. And again, it just brings back the same thing. If people in politics use us for what they need, and in the U.S. they've always done that since even coming to this country and founding this country on literally racism.
That's what it is, and that's what you have to think about it as. Two colors. Like the U.S. was founded on one consistent value that has remained pervasive through its entire history, and that is the subjugation of Black Americans to Black people, but Black Americans specifically, because Black American is the ethnicity of ADOS or or people descending from slavery, from Africa, right? So
don't say descend from slavery,
descending from, you know what I mean,
originally from Africa, that led to slavery,
right?
Of those
but
African
in the
slaves.
U.S. specifically, so Black Americans, we are we're the economic base, and we have been the economic base of America. We've been the subjugated people who have been at the bottom. I believe it was Karl Marx who said this, but he said that there has to be somebody at the bottom of a class, or for anything in society, anything in the capitalist society to have value, something must have lesser value, and Black Americans are that people who have that lesser value in this society specifically.
Mexicans too,
but we're even lower than Mexicans. Have you been to Mexico? Or I've been to Mexico. A lot of people haven't been to Mexico, but I was in Peru and Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands. This builds into the concept of Afro-pessimism, because every single part of this world except for Africa, and even Africa is a little weird too. But every single part of this world
conquered like shit.
Yeah, but every single part of this world is anti-black. Every single part. There's no part of the world you can go to that will welcome you.
Except for some parts in Africa.
Depending
on where you go.
But even Africa, this is why I said Africa is weird, because for Black Americans, they're anti-Black American.
You're fucking right. They hate us.
I don't get
why
Nigerians have a slur for us called Akata, and it was founded in the 70s/60s, and they use it to slander. You can look it up. They use it to slander Black Panthers. Look up AKATA. You can look up Akata etymology, or you can just look up the term Akata. There'll be a Google card that says it's a slur for Black Americans or African Americans. It should say Black Americans though. But yeah, so anywhere we go in the world, we are subjugated to being less than. However, I try and be very careful with saying that, because
why they fucking hate us? Why does everybody fucking hate us, bro? Like, I don't like
and I try and be careful with saying that, because
golly,
a lot of the people like in these different areas, a lot of the people in these in Africa specifically, they do have like worse material conditions.
Wait. It said there are two meetings: Cotton Picker and Fox. Yo, what? Yo, what do we do? bro, what pisses me off is bro, I can get white people. Okay, I get that, bro.
Right.
I can
but
maybe get Mexican a little bit, but bro, where's your descendants? We got the same fucking blood, bro.
You're familiar with Frantz Fanon, right?
Huh?
You're familiar with Frantz Fanon, right?
Frantz Fanon.
Yeah.
No.
So Frantz Fanon is this black theorist from Fort de France, Martinique. And Frantz Fanon has this entire piece, or he has a book. He has multiple books. One of his biggest books is Wretched of the Earth. But he has another book called Black Skin, White Masks. And he talks about how people in Fort de France, Martinique, look at Africans as niggers, and they look at them as being less than. But it's funny how that concept has switched to view Black Americans as these niggers or as ignorant. And it all comes down to proximity to whiteness, right? And when you come to America as an African immigrant, you do have this ill stereotype that places African immigrants as hardworking or more hardworking than Black Americans.
That's very
true. And if you immigrate to America, you have to buy into the idea that the status quo of America is better than the status quo back at home. The status quo of America relies completely on Black Americans being subjugated to less than. So if you're buying into that status quo, you have to buy into the status quo and realize that these people are less than. I'm coming to this country where these people are less than me, so I must be above them. So
insanity.
It's an insane thing, right? The entire thing is crazy. But yeah, look up the term Akata, everybody who's watching or listening. AKATA. And look it up. You can look up Akata. You can look up just the word, or if you look up the etymology, it'll give you a little more history of it and how it was founded by Black Panthers, or how it's founded for Black Panthers by Nigerian students.
Quick story, actually. My friend, y'all remember Bokar and stuff like that. He's part African American and then part African and things of that nature. So it's kind of a give and take with that, because it's you're African American, but at the same time, but you're African. But
right.
It's the same theory of if you're mixed, right? You're not white, you're black. Black meaning African American, not African.
Right.
African American. It's the same thing with him having African American mom, African dad. When he goes to his African cousins and stuff, they still love him and things of that nature, but it's just a little bit different.
Right.
They don't. I think the reason why to an extent is because of the stigma that we have. So then that put the stigma on them as well, to an extent. And then just overall, just all the things that people say about us and all that. But then we can really put that on the other way as well, because we think a lot of Black Americans think of Africa as this third world country, when in some places it is, but in other places Africa is actually pretty freaking advanced.
It's booming, no, for sure.
And one of my friends, she's from Africa, and I remember she made the joke, because it's what, you think I was born in a hut and I was riding on a lion and things of that nature? No, Africa has very developed parts. They have non-developed parts as well, but sometimes they keep it like that because they have safaris and all those different types of things where animals reside. There's lions and things there, but that's not in every place in Africa. And it took me a while to get out of that mindset. Sometime during high school, you look up Africa, and first thing you see is gonna see starving, skinny kids. That's the first thing. But if you look up certain specific places, Africa is pretty good. But they still keep some places the same because of culture. Whereas, let's say if the Native Americans were still in, Native Americans were still in control, they would have kept a lot of more places the same because of religious and cultural reasons. But because because white people took over, mainly white people took over, some black people in some instances as well. That's why a lot of the culture got eradicated, because they really didn't have a say. Whereas Africa, they had a say more so, even though there are places where white people in general, really, it's not even white people, it's Europeans.
Yeah, Europeans.
But if we're honest, Europeans are the cause of all this bullshit.
No,
so
for sure.
that's so like, shout out fucking Christopher Columbus and his pals. But fucking dickheads. But that's really that. With that topic, because we can kind of go on and on.
That's layered on top of layers.
But that moved me on to the importance of voting, which is another part of my news today segment. I know we're 40 minutes in, we're still talking about the news today segment. One thing that was talked about at a voting event on campus, I think you had missed it. It was like about 2-3 weeks before
we came.
The gubernatorial debate.
Okay.
Earlier in September. There's a thing just about the importance of voting and things of that nature to help and register people for vote, different organizations and things on campus and stuff like that. So one of the things that came up, one of the things that came up was voting in your hometown versus voting where you're stuck at, which for me is college. I'm stuck in Maryland. So, but one of the things that they said, Dr. K, who's great, phenomenal person. She hosts the show Today with Dr. K on WEAA 88.9 FM. You can check out the website. That's also one of the places that I still work for. I do stories for and things of that nature. Basically, she was like, you should vote for wherever like your heart is and things of that nature. But either way, the bottom line is you need to vote. You need to vote. And because these midterm elections, which are in about 5 weeks, determine the Senate and the House. Wisconsin has a lot of, for those of you, for my listeners in Wisconsin, things of that nature. Wisconsin has a lot of different things that need to be voted for. The governor with Tony Evers is the governor for the last 4 years, where he's going to reelect his term. He's going for reelection. He's a Democrat. Senator Ron Johnson and the person he's going against, Mandela Barnes, they're going against each other for the Senate position. Amidst a lot of other things in Wisconsin, I have my mail-in ballot. It just came in the mail a few days ago. Woohoo! Yay! Oh shoot! Let me plug in my laptop.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
It's in my bag over there. But okay. But basically, yes, it's that one. But it's a plug over here. But essentially, there's a lot of elections that are happening. It's on the other side. Just be careful. There are a lot of things that are happening. Actually, let me pause this real quick. Okay, some technical difficulties. My fault. My computer was about to die. But essentially, what I was saying is, again, there's a lot of different positions that are up for grabs, and these midterm elections are very important because, as I said earlier, and we talked about this several times on the podcast, about the presidential election is really determined by the delegates that you have in certain specific states. Like the popular vote has to an extent it works, I guess, but it's more so, again, popular vote. It's not the most systematic or the most end all be all thing. So it's very important to get these seats up that are up for grab. Like for instance, the right now the Democrats have the House while the Republicans have the Senate. That makes it a balance. Whereas, usually, let's say if we want more black policies and things of that nature and more just progressive things, you would want the Democrats to have both the House and the Senate. Whereas usually if you want more restrictive things, like we saw the abortion ban came out, we talked about that, then you would want the Republicans to have the House and the Senate. When there's a 50-50 split between the two, or who has it and who, then there's more compromising and more work that has to do, because you don't need to even talk to whatever the other side is to pass your bills and things of that nature. That's one of the problems right now, actually, because Biden is trying to be bipartisan, which to an extent is working, but he's not getting as many things through because he's trying to be bipartisan and act like a senator and not like a president, more so, which is a problem, because it's like, bro, you have 4 years to pass all the things you can, and you're trying to play too nice with people. Granted, it's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I'm seeing some progress with different things, but then you have things like the thing with Joe Manchin, that took forever. He's a Democrat, and he was just trying to say, I don't know, I'm not for sure. You didn't even need his vote for real, but you wanted the bipartisan stuff because you didn't want to break the filibuster. Filibuster is basically saying you need a certain amount of Democrats and Republicans in order to pass a bill. But yeah, so all those, but 21 out of the 35 seats in the Senate are up for grabs. And on the alternative side, all 435 seats are up for vote for the House. 52 of them have nobody being reelected for the position because they either resigned or they retired. So this is a very pivotal midterm election. And I don't care where you live at, whether that's Cali, Wisconsin, Texas, Georgia, Mississippi, Maryland, Carolinas, wherever, you need to vote. And so Elijah, what are your thoughts on that stuff?
I like voting. For me, like I said, like I talked about before, my political ideology is Afro-pessimism. So I genuinely do not think that anything progresses us. However, that doesn't mean don't vote. A lot of people take that and say, oh, well, if nothing's going to help me, I shouldn't vote.
Do something.
Do something.
Do something.
My thing is vote, but take it a step further and do something else. You know what I mean? So vote, definitely vote, but vote way back before midterms start. Vote when you're doing your primaries. I voted for my Democratic primary. I voted for John King of Maryland. He lost, but he was the most far left candidate. He was the only candidate who had a tangible plan for teachers to get more wages. He was the only candidate with
teachers deserve so much more money because if you think about it, if you really think about it, none of you people would be here if it wasn't for the teachers.
Not a single thing.
They literally they taught you growing up. Who did you stay at? While your parents are at work? Mm-hmm. Teachers. Babysitters, daycare people, after school people who help at the different schools. Mm-hmm. Schools deserve more funding so they can have more books. The fact that we have the same freaking books from like 30, 40 years ago, it's a problem, bro. Like, so teachers should get paid. I'm sorry, I ran.
No, you're good. I get it. I understand. So I voted for John King because I was paying attention way back in the last November before the Maryland primary. Take it a step further and don't just vote when it's the most important, but vote for who you really want to see. A lot of people were like, well, this person doesn't really fit my thing. I don't really know what he wants, things like that. Take it a step further and just try and pay attention to those who do it. Because the next step after that is volunteering.
Google exists, by the way.
Right, Google exists.
Safari.
Do your research. Literally just do your research on your candidates if you're not going to do that step further. Like, I go out and volunteer. I go out and do mutual aid. I go out and do praxis for people who are in working class situations.
I'm going to do that poll worker job.
Yeah, see? That's top.
I ain't going to lie.
There's things like that. When you step out of your comfort zone and you decide to take it a step further and really exact the change that you want to see, that's what needs to happen.
Jesus.
Right?
Exact the change you want to see.
Exactly.
Be the change you want to see.
Be the change you want to see. Angela Davis. It's an Angela Davis quote. Yeah. Be the change you want to see. I'm pretty sure it's an Angela Davis quote. Don't quote me on that.
Or I'm 95% sure. Angela Davis. Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Let me look. Let me fact check.
Yeah. Fact check that real quick.
It's too late though. They can already misquote it.
They can already misquote
it.
Look up. Be the change who you want to be. Be the change you want to see. I want to say that's Angela Davis.
Be the change you want to see in the world is Mahatma Gandhi, but I think there might be another one.
There's gotta be another one.
Be the change you want to see, Angela Davis. Let me see. Ooh.
No.
Just keep it pushing.
Yeah. Okay. You guys see my point though. Somebody.
Or maybe Maya Angelou. I don't know.
Maybe Maya Angelou. Somebody important said that, and that's all that matters.
That's what matters at the end of the day.
But be the change you want to see. And if you want to see somebody who you really back in office, vote for them way back for the Democratic primary, or vote for them for the primary for your political party. So that way you can see who you want to see in office. I'm all for voting, but I'm for voting with sense. There are people who vote for Trump without a clue of what he does.
They don't know what the hell.
They
just realize he rallies people, or he's better, quote unquote, better than the other candidates. Like,
he gets them like kind of like he says things that get them excited. Same thing with Black Americans.
Racist
we often
things.
vote for whoever the Democrat is. Like we just vote for the Democratic.
Whoever says they're gonna help the
poor, right? Like we're gonna vote for whoever we want. Like whoever says they're gonna do something for us. But we need to have a greater sense.
We talked about hope earlier.
Yep.
They literally do it based off of hope.
They sell us a dream and then just keep it pushing and never give us that dream. Obama sold us hope. He didn't sell us policy. He sold us hope. Kamala sold us hope. Wes Moore is selling hope. Like, these people aren't selling us an actual tangible plan. They're selling us buzzwords.
Mandela Barnes back home, to an extent, sells us hope. We have a lot of big problems. Like, I know you don't know a whole bunch about Milwaukee. Milwaukee, actually, one thing, 40% black. Thank you very much. You're welcome. But another thing that we have, and I was listening to what's his name? Dr. Ken. There's a lot of doctors. Dr. Ken's show on 101.7 The Truth in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is a black radio station. Kind of like our WAA is a black radio station. Okay. 101.7 The Truth is a black radio station in Milwaukee, and he was talking about this in one of his one of his radio shows. It's at like 4 p.m. That's Central Time, 4 to 6, something like that. And he was talking about how like Mandela Barnes and Tony Evers, like those Democrat people, even Tom Baer, who's our longtime governor in Milwaukee. I know those names are foreign to you, but just to get the context of it, like they say these things, but then they're not doing enough. Again, that stems back to my original problem of you're selling us a dream, you're selling us hope, you're saying these things that you're going to do, whereas you're not going to do it. And then sometimes Republicans, they don't say anything about it, but they'll actually do some different things and some programs, but you won't even know about it. Actually, a lot of the things that some veteran programs and things of that nature, Trump actually supported those veteran programs, things of that nature for a good amount of people. I remember this one black woman said something about it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but just again, another example. And we have to pay attention and really pressure these people to be like, yo, actually make do on your promise, or at least give us an update as to why you cannot do it. Mm-hmm. So then be upfront with us. Like, honestly, like black people specifically, we are very more receptive of you if you can say, yo, I fucked up, or I messed up, or I'm trying to do this, but didn't attack it right, or they're just not messing with it. So what are you gonna do now? We don't want to. It's not exactly giving us an excuse. It's more so just updating us on what is going on, so we're not left in the dark.
Because we're used as a political platform. We're used as a trampoline. We're used as a pawn, right? To get up and get that vote. Obama used us to get a vote. Biden used us to get a vote. Bush used us to get a vote.
George Bush hates black people.
Yeah. like
I don't believe that. I'm just talking.
They continuously use us to get a vote, but they don't do anything for us. And that becomes the key missing part. Like, why is New Orleans still reeling from the effects of Katrina that happened 10 years ago? Why are we?
That is insane.
Almost 20 years ago. Why are we still like you said? I'm saying, like,
the ward is crazy. The ward in New Orleans. Have you seen it?
I'm saying, yeah. My family's from New Orleans. My great grandmother.
I didn't know that.
She relocated to Richmond, Virginia after Katrina because of how bad Katrina was.
We visited the ward during the Bayou Classic.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, Bayou Classic. I've been there twice. I think some of my family is over there right now.
Yeah.
No. They're just seeing Grambling play something. But I've seen that the third ward. One is disgusting.
The ninth ward is destroyed. Like, all the wards. Like, my great grandmother grew up. She has 9 children. Each of them have children, and each of them have children. It's kind of crazy. But her and all of her children grew up in the 9th ward.
I'm sorry. You just said she had 9 children.
She's 95 years old right now.
But she has 9 children.
She has 9 children.
See, look, bro. That's another thing I was talking about with someone else. Why did not our parents, But our parents, they had like 5+ kids. Everybody did. Everybody had like 5+ kids. Like my grandma, she had 5 kids. My dad was the middle child. I'm the middle child, but like we only have 3. So they went from 5 to my dad having 3. My auntie, who my dad's sister, they had 2 kids. Whereas, but everybody, they was like, but bro, like everybody like had 5+ kids. And then my papa, he had multiple different wives and people who had kids with. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So like I'm like, bro, why everybody had like 5+ kids, bro? Like nobody wanted the only child. Like everybody just wanted 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids,
9
bro.
kids is crazy. It's 9 children. That's like so wild to me.
But let's keep it going.
So she has 9 children, and it's things like that. So they're selling us hope. But I say all that to say, I'm not saying don't vote. I'm saying do some research and vote. And research, like this is something I've realized. This is why I got into journalism. Research is a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to sit down and sit there and research.
We weren't able to do it before.
Right, we weren't able to do it before. But it is a privilege to be able to research, especially if you're a working class citizen or if you're a working class individual and you don't have the like literal time to research. A lot of people don't have time to research because they're working 2-3 jobs and they get home and all they can do is sleep. So I'm not blaming that. I'm saying just do, like, when you have time, do your research. For people who can vote, because a lot of people who can vote and do have the time and have the economic privilege to vote, which is just time. If you have the economic privilege to vote, use that time. Like get off the game. Just vote. Bro. Get
off YouTube.
Get off YouTube.
Netflix.
Get off Netflix. Like, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and just sit down and figure out who your candidates are before the midterm, before the primary. Figure it out before the primary, because the primary is when you elect who's going to be elected for that midterm election. The midterm election is not when you get a chance to choose; it's when you get a chance to like vote for who's been pre-picked for you, pre-selected.
Midterms are very important.
They're super important
every single time, because
but the primary that's where the change happens.
All right, so hold on, just break that down for me. I want to make sure I get that right.
So the primary for your midterm, so you have 2 elections. You have your primary election and you have your midterm election. Same thing for your general election, for your president election. President election, that's a little more. That's a little more meta. That's a little more up there. You're probably not gonna be able to affect it as much. But what affects you is your midterm election.
Yes.
Your midterm election.
That's why midterms are important.
Right. Your midterm election is your primary election. That's the election where you vote for. Let's say you're voting for Raphael Warnock because you're in Georgia, right? That's the election where you vote for Raphael Warnock. I just know because they flipped Georgia. He and this Jewish guy, I can't remember his name. They flipped Georgia together. Yeah, they're both Democrats, and they flipped Georgia. It was great.
Flipped Georgia,
right? they flipped Georgia. It was awesome.
They must have used Atlanta a lot. I know they did.
Stacey Abrams actually was very influential in that. But if you're voting, let's say you're voting for that, right? However, Raphael Warnock was only chosen. I don't know how to explain this. So you have, like, let's say you have 10. I'm going to just break it down even lower. Let's say you have 10 Democrats running for a seat. In order to narrow down those 10 Democrats, you have a primary election before the midterm election. The primary election is the election where you get to elect like one candidate, and that becomes the Democratic candidate for that election.
I think they did that already, though, because there's only 2 people for right now.
For what? For Wisconsin?
For midterm, yeah, for Wisconsin at
right.
least.
But before that.
No, yeah, because that was back in, what was that? No, that was in June.
Yeah, that was in June.
They chose everybody.
That's when they
in June they chose everybody, and now it's the last 2 standing.
Now it's the last 2. This is the primary. I'm saying vote for the primary and figure out who you want and back the hell out of them and vote for them. So that way you make sure that your vote fully counts, and that way you're not voting for who everybody else pre-selected in those primaries.
Yeah, because
that's where it really counts, and then that midterm counts even more. But like going way back at the beginning of those primaries and choosing to see whether or not you want, who was it?
For Wisconsin,
yeah,
it's
Mandela Barnes.
For Senate is Mandela Barnes and Ron Johnson.
If you don't want Mandela Barnes and you want a different Democrat, you have to go back and vote for the primaries and do research to figure out who you want for the primaries. And then Mandela, you can vote for them, and then multiple people can vote for them. And if you get enough people to vote for them, then that new person will become the Democratic candidate as opposed to Mandela Barnes, and then you can vote for them in the primaries instead.
I just want to shout out. I know this is not for the midterms and stuff, but I want to shout out Bernie Sanders for just continually always He's just always trying. I don't know. I just randomly had the thought, man. I'm like, he never gets it. He's really close every time. But it's like
he gets real close. He scratches the surface and it falls. But
unfortunately, but
shout out Bernie.
Whatever. It's whatever. But shout out Bernie. But moving on to another topic dealing.
So that'd be a dope shirt. Shout out Bernie.
Shout out Bernie. After if you didn't know. This is neither here nor there. But moving on to something else that was on my heart to speak about. On Dr. K's show, she was talking about the 3-year anniversary of Elijah McClain's death. For those of you who don't know, Elijah McClain was a 23-year-old from Aurora, Colorado. He died in 2019 on August 30th. The incident happened on August 27th, because it was 3 days before, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, someone called 911 and said he looked suspicious due to him wearing a ski mask in the summer, which already was weird because this is pre-COVID. Why are you wearing a ski mask in the summer? But the reason why he did it is because he had a condition where he chills very easily, blood and all that type of stuff. Now, backstory about Elijah McClain as a whole. He was a very independent person. He actually played his violin or something of that nature at a pet shelter to calm down animals and things of that nature. He also was I think it was a psychologist. I think it was a psychologist. At 23 is crazy. So very intelligent kid. Not even a kid, man. He's 23, young man. So basically, after the people called police on him, and I think even the people was like, I'm not for sure, but still check it out just in case. Yeah. Basically, the officers approached him. 3 officers essentially held him on the ground for 15 minutes, and at one point there were more who choked him. And it's basically, they said he tried to reach for their gun, and their comrades were off. And their cameras were off due to the struggle. They choked him to unconsciousness, and then following that, the paramedics sedated him with 500 milligrams of ketamine injection. Yep. They forcibly gave it to him without his consent or even talking to him, because again, he was unconscious at the time and he couldn't really speak because they just choked him to death. And what's the craziest thing about it is that 500 milligrams of ketamine is a lot. That's a lot even for a 200-pound person. That's more than enough for even that. So why did you administer that much? But the reason why they administered that much is because they said how much a threat. The man was acting crazy. That wasn't true. He was defending himself because it's like, bro, what did I do? What did I do? Same thing with George Floyd as the other thing. George Floyd had a petty crime that turned into a super serious situation for no reason, where a man held his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 40 seconds. It's ridiculous. Or Michael Brown getting choked to death for no, dude, it's these situations that get escalated to a certain extent. If they're down already and you have control of the situation, why are you gassing it? Just, for lack of a better term. Elijah only weighed 140 pounds and he was 5'6". 140 pounds and 5'6", and you gave him an injection that was way too much for his body, and he ended up overdosing, and it was too much for his body for his body weight. His final words before he lost consciousness, I just want to read them. I think it's very important to read this. He said, "I can't breathe. I have my ID right here. My name is Elijah McClain. That's my house. I was just going home. I'm an introvert. I'm just different. That's all. I'm sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why are you attacking me? I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat, but I don't judge people. I don't judge people who do eat meat." Who literally talks about not judging people about not eating meat while they're dying, bro? While they're in the midst of in a life or death situation. Forgive me. All I was trying to do was become better. I will do it. I will do anything. Sacrifice my identity. I'll do it. You all are phenomenal. You all are beautiful, and I love you. Try to forgive me. I'm a mood Gemini. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ow, that really hurt. You are all very strong. Teamwork makes the dream work after vomiting. Oh, God, this is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy, but I'm finishing this. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I just can't breathe correctly. Just sit in that for a moment. That's why when me and Elijah were talking about policies and just all these different things. And so situations like these don't happen anymore. It's fucking ridiculous. And to close it off, the 3 officers and the 2 paramedics were charged on 32 counts, including manslaughter. Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, and Randy Rodema for the officers. Again, all these people are white, by the way. White men. And then Jeremy Cooper and Peter Kikunik, sorry if I mispronounced the name, for the paramedics. They all were charged because, one, you assaulted the man literally. Again, 3-on-1, and y'all say he was overpowering y'all. He literally vomited right before his last words and stuff. You guys are freaking ridiculous. I just want you to fucking know that. It's ridiculous. I'm so glad the paramedics got charged as well. It took a while for it to happen. I think it literally just happened in the last 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, or mid to late 2021. Incident happened in 2019 because the officers got off at first, but after more investigation and stuff, thankfully they got convicted. It's just it's a lot. It really is a lot, and it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Yeah, that's what you got to say, man.
It's dark. Like it's just
dark.
I don't know. It's hard to think about. You're what, 23, 22?
I'm 21.
21.
2 years away from there.
That's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's heavy. It's heavy. It's been a while since I've really tried to remove myself from police brutality conversations in total. I sum it up, bro. No, you're good. It's just been a while since I've sat in it for a minute. You know what I mean? Like every time I see it on my you see it on Instagram every single day.
Every day,
and it's
bro.
I unfollow people who repost it. I unfollow or I mute their story. People who repost stuff from the Shade Room. People who repost stuff from Sean King. People I've muted them or unfollowed them because I was in fifth or fourth grade when Tamir Rice was killed, and he was 2 years older than me. And I remember reading it in the newspaper, because my mom always made me read the newspaper and shit. And I remember reading it, and I was like, "What?" It was so weird because he was playing with a toy gun. And he was murdered, by police, by a police officer. He was 2 years older than me. I was a child. And that's when I realized that I was in 5th grade, by the way, or 4th or 5th grade, I can't remember. That's when I realized, they were here to kill me. You're Black American. Black Americans know that your father or your mother will have a talk with you.
There's 2 talks in life.
2 talks.
There's only one. There's 2 talks in life.
Only one of them is universal. Only one is universal.
One is universal for sex and everything.
Sex, right.
And the birds and the bees. There's another talk for Black Americans.
Yeah, Black Americans specifically, because I've talked to my African friends. They don't have the same talk.
No, they don't.
Caribbean immigrants might have this talk. I don't know. I haven't talked to them, but I know
depends on how long they probably been here.
Depends on how long they've been here. Black Americans, I know every Black American male I've ever talked to has had this talk. I remember this must have been 5th grade, because this was right around the same time Tamir Rice died. I was doing something. I was disobeying my dad, and he sat me down on the couch and just yelled at me for 10 minutes, telling me that if I go outside, they will kill me. Those people will kill you. They will kill you. They don't care about you. They will kill you.
When did you talk about this?
I was in 5th grade or so.
Was it after a protest?
This was around the time of Tamir Rice, but I had disobeyed him or something, and he said they will kill you if you disobey them. You disobey me, that's one thing, but if you go out there and you take the same behavior that you're doing in here and you go out there, they will murder you. They will kill you. They don't care. It was the repetition.
5th grade is crazy.
Of 5th grade, you know what I mean? And that's the talk. So it's this is something that just hits so close to home for me. And every Black American, not even just me, it hits so close to home because it's it's the story that your parents tell you. Your parents didn't tell you it might happen to you. No Black American gets told that it will. Might happen. Exactly.
It will.
They said it will happen.
It will happen.
And that it gets me so emotional because it gets me so emotional because damn. it will happen. Like, you know what I mean? And it's he didn't do anything. And this is the other thing. Like,
this is the worst one. I'm not gonna in my opinion. I feel like this is one of the worst ones because
it's so bad. Did you watch the Philando Castile video?
I have bro. I try not to watch.
I try not to watch it. And this is before I removed myself. I was in 6th grade, maybe 7th grade when Philando Castile happened. And that was the night after. That was next morning after
I saw
Jacob Green was killed.
Jacob Blake was in
Wisconsin. Jacob Blake was in Wisconsin, right?
And I saw the video for that. That
was horrible.
I saw the
7
George
shots.
Floyd video too.
Yep.
I just so many.
I saw the Alton Green. I think it was Alton Green. He was murdered in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At one, like he was murdered in the evening. We went to sleep. Everybody, Black Americans.
I need a lighthearted show after this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna do a lighthearted podcast episode next week.
Everybody's
after
heavy.
Homecoming. I got to.
Yeah, we going to bed. Everybody realized that this guy just died. Damn, it sucks. We wake up the next morning. We get a video of Philando Castile saying, "I have a gun. I am gun registered. Daughter in the back seat, wife in the passenger seat. I am gun registered. I have a gun." But I'm not using it. I'm not reaching for it. Am I okay to reach my wallet? The video is literally all there, and this is like literally the dialogue. Am I okay to reach my wallet? Police officer says yes. Gun drawn, pointing at him. Philando Castile moves slowly, reaches for the glove compartment to get his license and registration. The officer fires, I think, 1 or 2 shots, hits him straight in the chest. Blood soaked white shirt, like just blood soaked, and his wife is screaming, terrified.
He had a child in the back too.
He had a child in the back seat.
Golly.
And he's and this happens often. Like this just happened like 2 years ago or maybe last year, where another black man was murdered with his child. Exactly. At least it happens so often. McCain, we didn't hear about until 2020, 2021, years after it happened. In the midst of everything else coming out.
Everything else that was happening. Because that's when
Taylor,
we was getting everything at once.
We was getting everything. So it hits incredibly at home. It just hurts. Like it genuinely hurts. And I get, like I said, like it's been a long time. Like it's been like at least maybe 6 months since I've sat there and really like just dealt with it. But it hurts. Like it genuinely hurts. And I don't know. Like I don't know. It hurts.
No, that's fine. I mean,
I'll sum it up with
good.
Yeah. For me, every single police officer is a bad police officer. If you are in the system and you act as an officer of the state, and that system stands for murdering black people, which it does.
It was built off of that.
It was built off of murdering and catching slaves.
Yes, it was.
If you are an officer of that, I don't care if it's your dad, your mom, your grandpa, your uncle, whatever. Fuck them. If when you have that, you could be a phenomenal. You could be an angel. The moment you put that badge and blue suit on, you are a bad cop. There's no way around it. You can be like, as soon as you have it off, you're a good person. Sure. The moment you put it on, you're a bad cop because it's a bad system. It's a system that's built to be the weapon of the state. It's a system that's built to protect people who act as weapons of the state, who act as murderers of the state. That's the way I can sum it up. That's the only way I can sum it up. That's the way I've been able to remove myself from it, because I've been able to deal with it all by saying cops are bad. They're all bad. The system is bad. They're bad because the system is bad, and because they buy into a bad system, they are it's a bad profession. You are bad, period.
Yeah.
It's absolute.
We said at the same time. But
so
I feel you on that. I do disagree, but I agree at the same time. I have not family, but church family. So not family,
yeah.
But church family who is a police officer, good dude. But I understand what you mean, because every time I see an officer, first thing I think of is I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
I'm like, oh shoot. Like,
and that's what it is. Like, you could be a great person, but there's no, like, a good cop is an oxymoron, because
we just don't know, bro.
You are like we don't know exactly. Like because of what you stand for, because of what your system has done to us for the past 150 years. That's what it is, because it was 1865. That's when slaves were released, and you established like the slave catching force, or putting black people back into indentured servitude through criminal punishment. So for the past 150 years, the police system has done nothing but brutalize us. It has done nothing but like just act as a weapon of murder for black Americans.
And if you're like a black person who's a cop, and then like you're one of those like Uncle Tom type people, bro, then you got some internal things you need to work out, bro. You got some internal things you need to work out. Because I hate seeing black people, the ones abusing other black people, and the cop police brutality and stuff. But I want to move on. Yeah. Kind of like one of the last things, because this kind of a little bit ties into it, but it's a little bit on a happier note. Rihanna is singing at the Super Bowl, everybody. I know, right? It's a weird transition, isn't it? But trust me, guys, I always make it connect. I think it's dope that Rihanna's traveling to the Super Bowl. I talked about it on WAA as well. I think it's going to be really cool. But one of the reasons why she didn't, for those of you who don't know, golly, I really said that a lot. For those of you who don't know, Rihanna back in 2020 was supposed to sing at the Super Bowl, but instead we got Shakira and J-Lo. But the reason why she didn't is because where the NFL was with black people at the time, specifically with Colin Kaepernick and some of his compatriots, and just things in general. I think Roger Goodell is doing a little bit better job, but it's a face more than anything. But whatever. We just have to move on with what we have at this point, unless we fully blackball the NFL, and nobody want to fuck with their paychecks. Right. So let's just be real about that. But overall, I do love how she's back. I feel like the NFL has definitely made some progress moving forward. But let's really talk about the positive things about it. Because again, Rihanna is singing at the Super Bowl. Like, everybody knows Rihanna's music, man. Like, Rihanna's music is like, it's dope, bro. Like, it's like everybody knows her music. I mean, to an extent, like, it's like Beyonce in a way. It's not like Beyonce. Jesus Christ, please do not misquote me. But I mean, remember, everybody, there was always a discussion: Beyonce or Rihanna. I remember having those discussions a lot growing up before Rihanna just stopped making music like that. And then Beyonce, it's just freaking Beyonce, just ridiculous. But yeah, so how do you feel about Rihanna singing at the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I've removed myself, like, especially after Colin Kaepernick stuff. Yeah. I was just like, NFL's not for me. It wasn't for me before that.
But it's really not for you.
Now it's really not for me, right? Like, now there's no chance of me getting into it. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, Jay-Z also spoke out against the NFL for a while, especially after Colin Kaepernick stuff. He was like, NFL this, da, da, da. And then signed a deal with the NFL. Performed in the NFL.
Yeah, with Dr. Dre and
Dr. Dre and all that.
I ain't gonna lie, I fucks with Eminem to the day I die though. That nigga I'm talking about because he the only one who still did that shit. Yeah. Bro, that's why I love that man sometimes, because he don't get, because they literally said you cannot do that type of stuff, which is ridiculous in and of itself. Ridiculous in itself. But the fact they say that they can't make a political statement in any type of way, it's not even political. It's a social statement. So let's get that straight. But the fact that Eminem was the only one, he kneeled down. My guy. He'll always be my guy for that, bro. He's always been pro-black in those ways. Granted, he has his problems, yada yada yada. Yeah. Appropriation, you can say all that. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. But overall, he's always been for black people, and he has shown that time after time again. I will admit that. And he's actually one of my favorite OG rappers. So, me personally, Eminem's my guy, bro.
I'll let you have that one, my boy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna let you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll let you have that one. Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know what Rihanna's gonna do. Rihanna's a great performer. It's all like for capital. It's all for money. At the end of the day.
It is.
None of it, like, it's all publicity. None of it's for like activism or anything like that.
We'll see. She might do something. She's a diplomat for Barbados and stuff. Yeah. I don't know if she still is, but I know at one point she was.
I don't know if I really rock with, like, I've always had like a bad taste in my mouth, especially lately, of like people who are rich or famous doing like political stunts. Cause like
that Colin Kaepernick political stunt with the NFL was really weird. I'm not gonna lie, because he could have got back in, but he chose to use it as a political statement, and that was weird. That was really weird, and that's what made me be like, all right, bro, like, we was good with you, but now it's like, bro, why you? It's like, did you? What was the point in you even going to the thing in the first place? And he showed up late on top of that. Remember that?
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, it's Jay-Z being so pro-black. We need to have our own black streaming service, and then selling title to Jack Dorsey. Like, it's this constant thing of people who are rich and famous, black rich and famous, making bad decisions, like doing things that just hurt us. Kanye being class conscious for the college dropout, late registration, and graduation, and then after graduation, or and even Yeezus, and then after that being like, if you're broke, it's your fault, like on podcasts and on interviews and stuff like that. So it's like
I don't understand Kanye. That's
right.
a whole nother thing.
And I don't get it.
The
like,
pricing of all his stuff.
The
too,
pricing
on top
of his
of
stuff,
that.
right? Saying that black people need to have like our own clothing brands, and we need to be dressing in our own stuff and stop like relying on white people. And then charging like hella money for shoes. So I mean, honestly,
and I get it though, because the material is great, but at the same time, like bro,
what are we doing?
Like, can we find some type of compromise to an extent?
I'm saying, if you want to like have black people dress in your stuff, he's
bro.
a billionaire. You can afford some cuts. You can afford it.
That's what I mean.
You can afford some cuts in your prices. Like, it's not gonna hurt. But nah, honestly, all in all, go ahead, Rihanna. Get your bag. I'm not hating on a black queen getting to her bag. Go ahead.
I think it's gonna be good for the culture overall. We haven't seen her perform in like ages as well.
It'll be good for like global black culture, I guess. But I mean, it's not even really black culture. It's more so like just diasporic culture, because Rihanna's for everybody. Barbados,
it's gonna be the viewership.
Yeah, viewership's
gonna be crazy.
I don't think it's gonna be as much as last year though. 50 Cent.
You're right. It was
Dre.
50, Dre, Snoop.
Yeah, Snoop. I
that was
Snoop was on
crazy.
that joint.
That
Yeah,
was crazy.
I think that's gotta be like the most like that's gotta be the best.
California love,
right?
It was crip walking,
right? Exactly, crip walking.
It was crip walking.
50 hanging from the ceiling, bro.
Bro, that nigga look fat like that though. That it looked crazy. I mean, that's a buff dude though, but he looked crazy because like all his weight was crashing down on him, so it looked weird. But it was it was lit,
it was
bro.
ill. Like that's gotta be like the best.
Drake was playing the piano.
Exactly.
It was lit, though.
It was fire. So from a purely non-political standpoint, go ahead, Rihanna. I'm gonna watch your motherfucking halftime show.
You know you gonna watch it.
I know I'm gonna watch it.
You know you
gonna watch it. So I'm gonna watch your joint. Go ahead, sis. You feel me?
Period, poo.
Period, poo. You already know.
Period, poo.
I'm not even gonna hate on you. It's go ahead, sis. You feel me?
But yeah, no, I really can't wait to see it, because I know.
Exciting.
I mean, like everybody knows, I'm a singer.
Yeah,
bro. When this, bro, I'm gonna be like,
I know.
like diamonds in the sky.
Bro, Rihanna, she's a staple for our generation, bro. She's a staple for our generation.
Bangers. I'm friends with bro. What if she did Monster Eminem? I actually would like that song. I mean, you're not Eminem fan, so whatever. But what else? What's your favorite Beyonce? I mean, not Beyonce. Rihanna song, bro.
I really enjoyed that. What was it? Auntie album. I loved Auntie.
But what song though? What song is gonna get you? Let me look at my Rihanna songs.
Bitch better have my money for real.
She gotta do that
bro,
song. She gotta do that.
Better have my money. Bro, that song.
Amy, what you want me?
Stupid, bro. That song is so
bro.
crazy.
Hold up.
Yeah, I might listen to that on my
Umbrella. Oh, Love on the Brain.
Love on the Brain.
Don't Stop the Music.
I forgot about Don't Stop the Music.
Kiss It Better. Work.
I would watch a versus between her and Beyonce.
That's gonna break the internet.
Bro, that
Sex with me so amazing.
Bro, she's got hit after hit.
Sex with me so amazing.
I
love
mean,
that song.
Rihanna, she's a treasure. She's a treasure. I'm not gonna lie. Like she's got talent. She's amazing.
Looking at that discography from 2005 to 2016, bro.
I'm really hoping she's on Rocky's new album.
Rocky.
A$AP Rocky.
Oh, AC. Oh, right. They forgot their
right?
thing. Yeah.
And Rocky just said that
she had the kid already, right?
I don't know.
I think she had the kid.
They've been real quiet about it.
Well, yeah, as they should,
they
bro.
should, right?
We barely figured out she was pregnant. We only saw her because we was like, is that a lump? Is that a lump over there? Like what?
But nah, like I love music. I love hip hop. Rocky.
Yes,
he's problematic.
She had the baby.
She had a baby.
The baby's name is. Ain't no fucking way.
It's some
baby
shit,
baby Riri.
Yeah, that's not real. You for real?
I'm so a boy. On May 13th. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
I like Rocky. Rocky said that his last performance, that Rolling Loud was gonna be his last performance before his album drops.
I think he's gonna. He had his album
his album's gonna be fire. It's gonna be a good album. I love Rocky. He's one of my favorite rappers, or not one of my. He's up there as one of my favorite like top 25.
Wait, am I mixing them up right now? Mixing them up? A$AP Rocky, he just dropped one, right?
What?
He just dropped his album.
Nah.
Am I thinking of the other A$AP, bro?
Ferg maybe. I don't know. Rocky did
Joey Badass. I'm
Joey
fucking.
Badass.
That's golly. I be
he
mixing
did
them
drop
up.
An album. I get that. They're both from New York. They both came out that same era. So
Bro, I be mixing them up, bro.
You good?
But Joey Badass album was fire, bro.
That was a great album. That was a fire album. Mature album.
Conscious. He said only ones that fuck with me and Cole and Kendrick. I'm a Cole fan.
Yeah.
Cole's my favorite rapper. You're Kendrick. Okay, I get it. I get it. And it fits your personality. But if you really think about me, it fits me as well. It fits me very well.
You're very laid back like Cole. Yeah, I get it. No,
I'm laid back, but I'm still assertive.
Right,
So I'm gonna move on. The last thing, I know this is a long one, 124. Actually, this is actually about right when for one of my more like serious topics and things that nature. It usually runs about this long. But so recently I walked in on an English class. For those of you who don't remember, actually, I'm not gonna say no. We talked about it prior, but one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I changed my major to multimedia journalism from creative writing secondary education. I took some English classes my fall sophomore year, because that's when you get into your major courses and stuff. Yeah. You'll see that in the fall 2023 for you. But, I took some English courses, and I met some of the professors a little bit. And one of the first professors that I ever met here when I actually came for open house day, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so coming all the way out here was a trip, to say, for lack of better words. And one of the first professor that I really had met who kind of sold me on the program a little bit, I actually stumbled upon his class with some of my friends who I was already English major with, but now like there's not a lot of people because it's freaking English, bro. They were in the class, and I was just talking to them after my therapy session on Friday, and the dude was like, "Hey, I mean, you can stay back and you can do, stay in the class and just sit in." And I was like, "Hey, I don't know." And then he was like, "Why don't you do it?" And I was like, "I'll just do it." I was like, "Oh, I was just kidding. I didn't think you were actually gonna do it." Yeah. I sat in on the class, and they started talking about What's his name? He's gay. He's an author.
James Baldwin?
Yes. Dude, you're good. They're talking about James Baldwin, his book about the main character that had like died early, and then they talked kind of like how 13 Reasons Why, how everybody kind of gathers it after his death. Gotcha. And so we're talking about that, and we're talking about a whole bunch of different stuff. And so one of the things that we did, we came to the point of the conversation talking about multiple different things about who in your life do you identify yourself as. No. Who in a movie, show, or play do you identify yourself as? So think of it as you can't choose somebody that's black. You have to choose somebody that doesn't look like you, but you resonate with them because of the way that they act, or like of a certain specific scenario. Because the scenario that he uses, that his wife had like used to work in something, but she had to like work with these women on this book with helping like black people, help black women and stuff, but these women couldn't get along. So it's like she was always pulling teeth trying to get them to work together. So then they ended up seeing this random movie with these Irish people who basically like making like a soul band. Really weird for Irish, right? And so, but the thing is, it was hard to get them to work together and stuff. Right. And after they finished watching the movie together, him and his wife, she was like, "I feel like that movie was about me." Some random Irish people, but it's the fact that it resonated with her situation with these people that she always had trouble working with and getting things to work for. And so that's what I mean. So who is somebody in a TV, movie, play that you resonate with? Because one of the people, they said Napoleon Dynamite for them. And there are women who said that. Yeah, that's weird, but it's the dynamic and stuff. You see, because you think like that's a man, you're a woman, like, and it's like what's going on. She actually has similar glasses to him too. Also has similar glasses to Jeffrey Dahmer. But it's the big, googly ones.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, we're not going to get into Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Jeffrey Dahmer in Milwaukee here. He raped black men and boys, and the nigga was weird. We don't condone Jeffrey Dahmer, nor do we give a fuck about Jeffrey Dahmer, if I'm being honest, aside from an awareness perspective.
I'm not watching that.
I'm not watching that shit, bro. But
keep that over there.
I heard he did really good in acting, the dude who played him, so props to him. But I'm not watching the shit. But back to again, so who do you think that you resonate with that's a character in a TV, movie show, anime, cartoon, or anything that just resembles you in your life?
It can't be black?
Can't be black. That's the thing. It can't be black. It has to be somebody
What
that's outside of
What if I relate to them not because they're black?
You can say them, but I want somebody else to.
Okay. I personally really resonate on different levels with Ern and Darius from Atlanta. That's my comfort show, first of all.
I have to watch that show,
bro.
Still. That's on my list.
I'm not explaining it. It would be like nothing else you ever watch. It is quite easily.
I heard it's really good.
The best show I've ever watched ever in my life. I've watched a lot of TV
Better
shows.
than Snow. I heard Snow was really good too.
Better than
I haven't watched Snow yet.
Better than anything. You will never watch something as good as that from an artistic perspective, from a cinematography perspective.
I know Donald Glover's in it.
Yeah, he's actually produced it and writes it.
He's such a talented
from an
guy.
acting perspective, from any perspective that you can ever look at something with, it is from a comedy perspective, best show you'll ever watch. Like, I don't even know. Like, I've been rationing it. They just dropped a new season. I've been rationing out my episodes.
Season 3?
4.
Okay.
It's the last season. I've been rationing out my episodes because I love that show, like, with all my heart. It gives me, like, just creative euphoria when I watch that show. Goosebumps, like, every single time.
So then why does it, why do those characters, explain to me why those characters matter, because I got to, get an understanding.
So, Darius is relatively eccentric. He kind of, like, moves with the flow. He's a very nomadic character, you know what I mean? So he's a very, like, and I'm not a nomadic character necessarily. I'm not a nomadic person, but I would say I'm a nomadic, like I identify people who are nomadic, people who are just consistently moving.
You fucks with the vibe.
I fucks with
the vibe.
I love the vibe of, like,
because you give off a nomadic type of vibe to an extent.
And
it's like you're on a pilgrimage or something.
Right, exactly. Everything's a journey, right? Like I've started to, like, look at everything as a nuance, as a journey, as a spectrum, and how am I navigating that same spectrum? Ern is a stark contrast to that, where he's very, I need to get shit done. My daughter, I don't know how I'm going to support her. I don't know how I'm going to support my wife. But one thing about me, I'm going to get to the bag. And Ern that's funny, actually. So this is why the show, everything in that show interconnects, and it's like it's a phenomenal show, dog. Like, you gotta rewatch it.
Those are my favorite types of things to interconnection and stuff.
Everything interconnects. Everything's correlated. His name is Ern. He plays the manager for Paperboy, who is broke right now. Funny, earn Paperboy, earn money. And his entire thing is how he gets to the bag. Earn is his name. Earn money. Like, it's consistently like earn this, earn that, earn this, earn that. Okay. But it's literally EARN, the same thing as, like, it's a double entendre.
Oh, that's literally how his name is spelled.
His name is literally, it's Ernest, but they call him Earn. Like, everybody in the show calls him Earn. EARN, right? Isn't that funny, right? Like it's interconnected. So his entire thing is getting money. And my thing isn't necessarily getting money, but his entire thing is getting it out of, like, mud, like making the best of a bad situation, and that's what I try to do. There's a good quote my friend put me on to: limitations breed creativity, and he had so many limitations. However, he got him and Paperboy to Europe, and it's like, I don't know, like, Earn, like, it's very motivating. It's a very motivating kind of mindset, because it's like, yo, this is gonna be like, this is me. I'm getting out the mud regardless. I'm trying to think of a white or just non-black character. Damn, let me
you guys, I was gonna say, in the meantime though, I'll say mine.
Yeah, say yours.
Because I've had an ample time to think about this.
I'm gonna look at Netflix real quick. See
I think you said Netflix. But I usually resonate with main characters in general. But it's specific ones. In different animes. I'm such a huge anime fan. Y'all see the One Piece poster up there. I gotta get my directions right, because it's inverted. And one of the characters I resonate in One Piece is Luffy. I know you don't know the show like that, but basically Luffy, his whole thing is being free by becoming king of the pirates. It's a pirate show. And he brings people together, though. So for his common goal, because he'll bring people together who were his enemies or his friends or anything of that nature. That's a common thing with anime characters in general, but with Luffy specifically, he got it out the mud too. He's a little slow, but like he makes the right decisions, and he makes wrong decisions too. But he's he cares about his friends a lot. And again, his main thing is being free. Like, he'll make stupid decisions. Like, he'll do stupid stuff all the time. Like, he's literally a goofball. But when it's time to get serious, he gets serious. That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing with me. Because, like, I'm such a goofy person. A lot of people don't realize it. But because people always see me on go mode so much, they think I'm such a serious person all the time. To an extent, I am. Because I remember yesterday we was talking about something. We had this event or whatever at my crib and stuff. And it was all cool and stuff, but then something had brought up that was a little more personal to me, regarding just stuff on the business side, and I instantly was like, no, I was like, no, that's not how we're doing stuff. Yada yada yada. Like, chill. Like, no, this is. Let me explain to you why as well.
Right.
That's one of the. But Luffy, I just love the fact he wants to be free, but he also brings people together, and he has people who will ride for him, and he is such a fucking idiot sometimes. But like I like a lot of people say, like, Ju, why are you even saying this? Like, what are you doing? But another character too is also, his name is Black Star in a show called Soul Eater. Loudmouth to a, like, it's really bad. Like, because he'll win big and he loses big. And one of my things is, I will talk shit to the day I fucking die. Like, bro, I will lose and still talk shit. I will win, I will still talk shit. So like, for me, like, when it comes to competitive things, when it comes to personal things, it's a little bit different. I have to read the room and stuff, and I have problems with that. But that's one of the things that I resonate with Black Star, because he will lose and he'll talk shit. He'll win or talk shit. He gets so frustrated when he loses, but he's still gonna come back, fight you again, talk shit, and then win. And that's why I fucks him. And he keeps it real with people. And he's like, and it's funny because he's supposed to be a ninja.
Yeah.
But he talks too much. So like, what he'll do is, instead of like, he'll try to assassinate somebody, right? So then he'll go right before he's supposed to assassinate him. He easily get the finishing blow. He'll jump on the table in front of everybody. I'm about to kill all of you. Like, yo, you can't just do things in silence.
You letting everything.
And me, I am not a person who does things in silence. So like, I put my mistakes and everything out there for everybody to see. Because I just grew into that. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, we'll get into that later. But that's just who I am. And I resonate with those characters, with Luffy and then Black Star, just because main things they're free and they're unapologetically them. Right. And that's why I resonate with them. Yeah. So what about you? You find one?
I don't know. I resonate. I've always liked and been attracted, not like romantically attracted, but I've always liked and been attracted to the character Zuko from Avatar.
That's a good one.
Always loved him.
He's always on a journey.
He's always on a journey, right? He's always on like it seems to be a very self-progressive journey.
That's a good one. That's a really good one,
right? And like, I feel like that definitely, I resonate with that. Now that I'm thinking about it and like going on a little more, I definitely resonate with that, because it's me. Like, during quarantine, what I did, like, I was very quarantine. You're spending all this time by yourself, right? And you're figuring out what you like, what you don't like, what kind of journey you're gonna be on, stuff like that. And yeah, it's got to be Zuko, because his entire thing was being around people, learning how to be around people. But really, how is that going to affect him, and how does he learn more about himself in order to be in those social situations properly? How does he control his anger? How does he goes from this very aggressive person to a much more calm and relaxed.
He doesn't really have any more outbursts.
He doesn't have any
except
more
for like right when he was about to join the Avatar gang, like it slipped up. But overall,
but after
kept
that,
his composure.
And
he kept it real with everybody. Once he got with everybody, like, bro, you're fucking.
Exactly.
Remember, everybody had their little Zuko adventure.
Yeah. Everybody had their Zuko adventure. Right. That's what I messed with.
Sokka's was the best. The prison was so fire. Such
a fire.
Such a
bro. That show is top tier. But
top tier.
Zuko, he calms down.
Shout out Jet, bro.
Definitely. But Zuko, he progresses everybody with him. And that's one thing I've really been trying to do in my life, making sure that everybody in my circle wins. I really rock with you for that, by the way. Like,
no problem.
If y'all don't know, y'all actually don't know. So I'm gonna let y'all in. I met Julien at this SGJC function that they had.
School of Global Journalism and Communications.
Sorry about
it's
that.
right here on campus at
right there
the
campus.
illustrious
Morgan State University.
National treasure. Fuck out of here. All right.
But I met him at this function, this event they had for undecided majors and majors who are at the student of global journalism. SGJC, right? So I met him there, and he was like, "Word." I spoke to him like a few things about like what I want to do and with journalism, things like that. And he was like, "Okay, word. Let me put you here with the spokesman, the MSU spokesman." I'm like, "Bet, I'm gonna go with the spokesman." And he puts me in the meeting that they were like coincidentally having that same day. Puts me in the meeting, has me sit in. I network with them, with the like editor, the managing editor, and stuff like that. And then that was cool, dope. The next week, he texts me and he's like, "Yo, there's this event happening at SGJC." I don't know if it was in email.
It was in an email.
I didn't get the email,
but it was like it was on Instagram and stuff too.
Is that
they don't do a great job of promoting.
This is what it seems like. So I didn't get an email, or if I did, I didn't check it. I think I followed him on Instagram, but I didn't get it because Instagram, like, it's so selective with what it posts. That's neither here nor there. That's not the point. The point is I didn't see that information. However, Julien sent it to me, and I was like, "Bet, I'm gonna pull up." I pulled up. I got to meet with the Baltimore Beat, which is a black-owned, black-controlled, black-led newspaper in Baltimore. And it's owned by a black woman. It was started by a black woman.
She was cool.
She's really dope. She's a dope
I just
person.
don't do print shit. So like for me, I was just like, "Y'all cool. I'm gonna keep you on mind, but that ain't me, bro. Respectfully."
I rock with that. I don't want to do print journalism necessarily. I want to do journalism, period. I want to do writing, and that like does relate. Print journalism isn't the primary thing I want to do, but it relates to it. So I got to meet the editor, the boss, the owner of the paper that I dream of writing for, as either an internship or working for them full time. I like really want to work with them, and he sent me their information. So that is literally a prime example of bettering the people around you, an iron sharpens iron mentality, where you are literally like helping people around. What happened?
Nothing. God damn it, he's out. Oh, a fantasy football. I knew I should have checked my shit. God damn it. Fuck, he's out. No. All right, continue, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, so like Zuko, his whole thing was bettering people around him. The Zuko adventure, everybody learned something about themselves. The same way Zuko learned everything about himself.
Jesus Christ. Football starts at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Back home.
Oh.
It starts at 1 here. So my brain still is programmed on 12 p.m.
Jeez.
So I'm thinking I missed it. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good. I can change my shit too. Okay, we can continue though.
But yes, that's the thing. So it's like, I like to better people around me. I like to better myself. And after I better myself and get myself straight, I'm going to better the people around me. And that's what Zuko did. So I resonate the most with Zuko.
Okay. Put my phone down. That's good. That's really good, bro. Thank you for saying all that type of stuff.
Nah, for sure.
It is very essential for y'all to look in the mirror and think about these different things, because I think what we need to realize is that these shows, animes, movies, and everything, they usually have an overall theme. And if they don't have an overall theme, then there are many things that you can take out from these different things that can connect to yourself and help you grow as a person. I know me personally, anime has helped me through a lot of different things because of the different values and stuff. Naruto, believe it, and stuff like that. Him want to become Hokage. With a lot of the values, like I watch a lot of anime. Like when people be like, "Oh, you haven't watched these black movies and black shows," well, I watched anime, I watched cartoons with DC and Marvel. Like there's a lot of different views and stuff. Granted, it's not all real people stuff. Granted, especially because I want to be an actor, I probably should watch more movies and TV shows like Atlanta and things of that nature. But that's just who I am. But I am slowly getting used. Also, did you see Malcolm and Marie?
I think I started. I got to like
watch it all the way. Don't don't say nothing else. Just watch the rest of it. I'm telling you, it's a directive. You need to watch that. It's cinematography gold, fucking beautiful. But just just find the different things in it, because also my friend said she related to Marie and Malcolm and Marie because she always was starting shit, but it was for a reason. Like there was a method to her madness. But yeah, all that stuff and more. But we're gonna close out the podcast, but that's really all I have to say. again, make sure y'all vote in the midterms. Just to recap, make sure y'all vote in the midterms. Make sure you do your research. Then you don't even have to do a lot of research. You can listen to my podcast. You can listen to other people's podcasts. You have to find your way to do research. And then these people who you listen to as well, they'll tell you where to research, usually. Me personally, I just really go on Google and I try to figure it out. But, there's different ways to do different things. I think, again, just do your research and do more than just vote, like Elijah said, Afro pessimism and things of that nature. Be more than what they want you to be. Be more than just a vote or somebody that can just be swayed with hope. Because instead of hope, let's work on faith. Faith without works is dead, and the works looking kind of dead. All right, so let's work on that. I'm doing the best I can because I am at the best I can. I'm doing my part to an extent. I'm doing my podcast. I'm telling people to go vote. I'm doing my own way to do stuff. But you may not want to do podcasts. You have to find what role suits you best to advocate and things of that nature. So any last words and things you want to say, Elijah, before we go and plug your socials and stuff? And I'll put MSU Spokesman, your article in the thing as well. But yeah, say your final words and stuff.
Yeah, just like he pretty much summed it all up. All I want to say is be the change you want to be the change you want to see in the world, and ask questions.
Ask questions.
That's really when I want to go.
Even the best people ask questions. Kobe asks questions all the time.
That's all. Every single thing somebody feeds you. My dad told me this. He said, even if it's me, your father, take it with a grain of salt. Ask why. That's the best advice I can give anybody. If you just ask why to every single thing that hits your mind.
People get so mad at me because I ask why a lot.
Ask why. Literally just ask why.
I ask a lot of questions.
I got a story about that, but I'm gonna save that because we're closing it out. But just ask why to every single thing. If it's racism, it doesn't have to be racism. Just ask why, and I promise you. In general, just in life. Just in life. Ask why. It'll automatically equip you. Ask why and seek out the answer. That's the other half of it. Don't just ask why. Definitely seek out the answer. But it'll equip you with a much greater worldview, better worldview. Ask why. Be the change you want to be in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Jesus, you messed that up.
I know. I keep messing up. It's so bad. Be the change you want to see in the world. Ask why to every single thing, and critically assess everything.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. My hair is really full. It's getting full. I'm this is new. I haven't had an afro in a while. So I did the sponge on it today, and you could kind of see the little spikes or whatever thing, or whatever. Not spikes, but the curls or whatever. I fucks with it. Homecoming, I'm looking good. You know what I mean? Hey, if y'all see me, y'all did not see me. It's on Saturday. If y'all you didn't see me, bro. I'm finna be wildin', bro. Respectfully. It's my last homecoming. Also, my family's coming. My mom and dad. So I gotta make sure I get up in the morning after Saturday's niggatry, so I can go hang out with my mom and my dad and stuff. Specifically, my mom. My dad was like, you gotta hang with your mom. I was like, yeah. I'm gonna get up. Just give me a few hours after getting up, and I'll be ready to go. But thank y'all again for listening to the podcast. Elijah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem, bro. I just knew you talked that political shit, bro, and I wanted a real get into the nitty gritty of shit, and I knew you had information, and it worked out the best way that I could. This is why I connect with people, and I trust people based off of vibe. I go off of vibes and stuff, and fuck with your vibe, man.
I appreciate
it. For real. I'm definitely gonna continue to have more people on. I ain't gonna lie. I'm probably gonna have a lighter episode next time. Probably gonna bullshit a little more. This is a lot. This is almost 2 hours, y'all. This is heavy shit. But I appreciate y'all for those of y'all who made it to the 1 hour and almost 48-minute mark of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for the support and everything. I'm still growing, but I just want y'all to know that I really do love y'all that are supporting me. And even those who don't support me. I was taught growing up to just love all people no matter what, even if they fucking do the worst thing in the world to me. I don't have to like them, but love them and pray for them, and just, at the very least, just hope that they one day can be better than what they are. So, thank y'all again for listening to the podcast. And this is JUUUEEELLZZZ signing off. Peace.